Welcome to a deep dive into human nature. We're breaking down this Robert Greene interview you sent.
Mm.
The guy's like the godfather of power dynamics, right? Machiavellian strategy, purpose, maybe even a little harmless manipulation. Ready to get inside people's heads.
Let's do it.
Now, Greene's work, it can be a little, what's the word, intense. But this interview, he's surprisingly candid. Even admits to his own, let's call it a healthy ego, right? What do you think of that?
Yeah, it's refreshing. He owns his past. Greene was a bit of a, well, he calls himself a drifter. Tons of jobs, no real direction. But that time, it really fueled his fascination with power. He realized understanding people, the good, bad, and the kind of manipulative, it's a skill. And like any skill, you can get better.
Okay, so from feeling lost to writing the 48 Laws of Power, that's a glow up. But he's big on self-awareness being step one. And not just the know thyself posters, but the nitty-gritty, less flattering stuff. How do we even begin with that?
Think of it like this. We all have blind spots, yeah? Those patterns where we trip ourselves up, that relationship that blew up, that job you bombed. What were the little decisions leading up to it?
Oof, getting real.
Right. Were you impulsive? Too trusting? Greene calls these compulsive behaviors, often rooted in deeper hangups.
Okay, so acknowledging the blind spots, step one. But just knowing isn't enough, is it? What do we do with that?
He talks about how we misread what we really want. We chase the big job, the fancy stuff, but that's often masking a need for, like, real purpose. He uses this example of a tile worker, right? Finds total satisfaction mastering his craft. Not glamorous, but meaningful to him. What about you? Were you always drawn to, like, the world of words?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I was that kid. New book over a new toy every time. But I love what you're saying, meaning in unexpected places, right? It's not always the spotlight. Speaking of which, how do we get better at reading other people, not just ourselves? Greene mentions those split-second tells, micro-expressions, what, yeah.
Exactly. It's like poker. Everyone's got their game face, but there are always tells. A micro-expression, it's that flash of true emotion before they mask it. Say you tell a friend about a big win, right? And for a split second, you see tightened lips, a furrowed brow, before they force a smile. That's it.
So I got to be ready to spot those poker faces. What else should I be watching for?
Don't underestimate the voice. Hesitation often means insecurity. A firm voice, even if the words aren't much, projects confidence. And of course, the classic, the smile. Real one, it reaches the eyes. You get those crinkles. Fake smile, it's all in the mouth.
I'm already analyzing everyone. This makes me think of those frenemy things Greene talked about. Are some people just wired for envy?
Well, Greene makes this really interesting point that even chimps show envy. No language, but they get hierarchy. Who's got the best food? So maybe envy is deeply ingrained in us socially. Spotting those subtle cues, it can help you navigate those tricky relationships.
It's like we're all playing this subconscious game of social chess, huh? Always trying to guess the other person's next move. But Greene also talks about finding your own path, your purpose. He gives that great example of a tile worker. Maybe not famous, but finds such deep satisfaction in mastering the craft. Really got me thinking. What are your thoughts?
It's about that intersection, right? Where your skills meet your passions, meet what really matters to you. Greene calls it escaping the false purpose trap.
False purpose. I like that.
So many people, they chase the corner office, the awards, all that. They lose sight of what truly fulfills them. Think back to when you were a kid. What lit you up? Not for praise, not for a prize, but just because it made you feel alive.
Oh, man. Storytelling all the way. I was writing plays, making my poor siblings be the actors. Some things never change. But speaking of change, Greene talks about embracing challenges, even using, get this, death as a motivator. A little intense maybe, but I get the sentiment. What's your take?
It's not about being morbid, right? It's about realizing time is precious. He actually highlights Andrew Huberman, the neuroscientist, found this whole new passion in podcasting. Huberman, he was successful in academia, but not fulfilled. So he used what Greene calls the death ground strategy. Basically, getting to a point where you're willing to walk away from the safe, comfortable thing, even if the new thing doesn't pan out.
Wow.
That urgency, that nothing to lose feeling, it's powerful stuff.
Like they say, you only regret the chances you didn't take, right? And Greene seems to think that taking those risks, embracing challenges, it's key to experiencing what he calls the sublime. Gotta admit, I hear that word tossed around, but not sure I fully get it. Enlighten me.
The sublime, it's those moments of awe, of wonder that kind of take you above the everyday.
Yeah.
Standing on a mountaintop, gazing at the stars. Even that deep connection when you share a real, genuine laugh with someone.
I feel that.
These moments, they might be fleeting, but they stick with you. remind you of the beauty, the wonder that life has to offer. And, sometimes those moments, they come when you least expect it, often through challenges, through setbacks even.
It's like that story Greene told about getting stung by a wasp as a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just a random, crappy event, right?
Yeah.
But it led to his first newspaper job, which then got him fascinated by power, by writing. Who knew a wasp sting could be so pivotal? Talking about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary, right? It's like Greene saying those moments of awe, they're already there if we just open our eyes.
He's all about the hidden patterns, isn't he? Whether it's how people act or, like, the path our own lives take. Which brings us to another big takeaway, strategy.
Right. He even compares life to a game at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's that warning about, and I quote, stupidity being the opposite of strategic thinking. Now, I don't think he's calling anyone names here, but it's definitely made me sit up straight. So what's his deal with strategy, and how do we not fall into that stupidity trap?
Well, Greene's very much about cutting through the BS. When he says stupidity, he means like a lack of awareness. You're not paying attention, not making deliberate choices. He's basically saying, hey, if this is a game, you better learn the rules and play smart.
So less about being Machiavelli, more about being mindful. Making choices instead of just reacting all the time.
Exactly. It's about taking that pause, looking at your options, and then acting. Look before you leap. But Greene's version, there's probably a whole strategy session in there too.
Right, with backup plans and, like, escape routes.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, how often do we sabotage ourselves by not thinking things through? We get so caught up in the moment, we miss the bigger game.
Totally.
Greene would say that emotional reaction, it's usually the enemy of strategy. Detach from that immediate feeling, see things clearly, then choose what helps you long term. It's the long game, not just putting out fires all the time.
Be the chess player, not the chess piece, basically.
There you go.
And speaking of power moves, Greene doesn't shy away from a little, we'll call it influence, right? How we impact each other. He even says something like, being human means we lie. Now, before everyone starts practicing their poker faces, what's the line here? When does it go from harmless social stuff to, like, more calculated influence?
$1 million question. And it's tricky for everyone. Greene's not saying go out there and deceive people, but he's also real about how much we tailor what we say, how we act, depending on who we're with.
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
Different tone with your boss than with, your best
Yeah.
friend, or you downplay something you're good at so you don't make someone else uncomfortable.
Right. We're always reading the room, adjusting, and yeah, sometimes influencing, even if we don't call it that. Greene's point is some of that's just being human. It's about intent.
Not if we influence, but why?
Nailed it. And this is where the self-awareness comes back, right? If we know our motives, we can choose how to impact the world around us.
With great power and all that. We've all got some influence, even in our little worlds. Got to use it well.
Couldn't agree more. And honestly, that's a huge takeaway from this whole interview. Understanding people, finding your own purpose, and navigating all this power stuff, it's about living more consciously.
Wow, what a ride. Micro expressions to the sublime, we covered some ground.
Barely scratched the surface, really.
But hopefully we gave everyone some things to chew on, ways to understand themselves, the people around them, even a little bit better.
That's the goal.
And hey, if a random wasp sting can change a life, who knows what this deep dive on Robert Greene might spark for you. Maybe it's time to start paying attention, find your own inner strategist, and yeah, those moments of awe in the everyday, that's where it's at.
Cheers to that.